Hey friend, I'm Robin May, and a few of the professional hats that I wear includes being a transformational speaker, a life coach, and a licensed therapist. And personally, well, I'm a wife, a mommy to 3 girls, and a pastor's wife, just to name a few. Girl, I'm over here doing all the things while trying to stay in shape and keep my skin clear. But the truth is, I don't want to be known for being busy. I think that's a scheme that somebody set up. No, I want to be known for living a life that is in perfect alignment with what God intended. And I want to help you do the same. So it's with that in mind, I'd like to welcome you right here to Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends. Over here, we're creating a safe space to have real conversations with real women on real topics. This is a judgment-free zone where we can be vulnerable and honest and curious about our lives so that we can elevate not just what we do, but who we are. So if any of that resonates with you, again, welcome to our safe space. This is Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends. Hey friend, welcome back to Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends. If this is your first time here, girl, welcome. I am so super excited to have you. Listen, over here on Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends, it is my commitment to help all of us live life. And life is an acronym. It stands for living intentionally, fully engaged. I truly, truly want to help us get off of the sidelines of our own life, to dive all the way in. We get one life to live, and I want you to live it fully. But not only that, I am committed to helping us upgrade, elevate not just what we do, but elevate who we are. It's very important that we have real conversations with the real women. The Bible says, iron sharpens iron through intense discussion. And I am hoping that our platform here, this podcast, is an opportunity for you to see some things about yourself, to understand yourself differently, to understand the people you love differently. I really hope that this is a platform for us to grow together. So, girl, if you've been growing, if this has been helping you, can you do me a favor? It's super important that if you're watching this on YouTube, can you subscribe to the channel? And also, can you comment and share it? If you're watching this on your favorite podcast app, can you do the same? Can you leave me a review? Can you comment? Can you share it? Y'all, the way this works, the way the algorithm works, it's really a real thing. And the more people engage with content, the more eyes the algorithm puts it in front of. Algorithm is just like Big Brother, I guess. And speaking of Big Brother, I told y'all know I will get distracted. Speaking of Big Brother, y'all, I am a faithful watcher of the show Big Brother. And when I tell you, I would be a hot mess on that show, a full hot mess. Okay, I'm done. Let's come back. Let's come back. So I really would love for you to share this podcast, comment, and DM me like y'all have been doing on Instagram. I love, love, love engaging with you all. I want to make sure that you have grabbed your friendship journals. You can go to robinmayonline.com/friend to grab your friendship journal. Y'all, I love these journals, and it just highlights the different types of friends that you need. You need a take it to the grave kind of friend. You know that friend that anything y'all do, they're gonna take it to the grave. They're not gonna put it on blast. They're not gonna tell people your business. You know you need a grab your passport, let's go kind of friend. That girl who is ready to go and travel. And so these journals allow you to highlight the friends in your life. You can gift it to your girlfriends and let them know how much you appreciate them. And so make sure you go to robinmayonline.com/friend to grab your journal. So, you guys know that we are in the midst of a series called Friendship Therapy. And when I tell y'all, I have so enjoyed this series. I've even learned so much. I have giggled so much because my folks have been on. And so, I want to give us an opportunity to recap where we have been with the podcast. Friendship Therapy started at episode 13. And actually, I believe this could be a great resource for you and your friendship circle. Remember, the Bible says, iron sharpens iron through intense discussion. And in a minute, I'm going to share with you why I think this is important. But you and your friends could use this as a way to spark really good discussion and learning about yourselves and one another. So here is what I suggest. Maybe you identify whoever's in your friendship circle, your friendship group, like my daughters call it. And maybe you all say, okay, make sure you listen to episode 13 by this date, and we're going to talk about it on this date. Or maybe y'all listen to the entire series and then y'all get together to talk about it. If all y'all don't live in the same city, y'all could Zoom and talk about it. Now, if y'all Zoom, invite me so that I can be a fly on the wall for those conversations. But I would love for you all to use this as a way to really understand one another. I say all the time that friendship really is a part of my success strategy. And so you want to make sure you have really close friends. And so let's take a moment to recap the series so far. Okay. So, in episode 13, I laid the case for why I believe friendship is so critically important. I shared a lot of statistics and research, but most importantly, I shared the 3 ways that I know I have disappointed friends in the past. So, y'all, one of my life values, or one of the ways that I guide my life, is that I am very intentional about at least remembering that the same way somebody has hurt me or disappointed me or frustrated me is the same way that I know that I've hurt somebody else and disappointed somebody else. And here's the thing. We often say, well, people need to tell me. If they don't tell me, which there is truth in that. But you also have to understand, y'all, that sometimes people may not feel comfortable sharing with you. And you want to consider that. Maybe you haven't created an environment where they feel comfortable sharing with you. But just know, I'm telling you right now, if your friends ain't told you, your friends need to send me a love offering. Y'all see, I'm such a church girl. Your friends haven't told you, but I promise you, you have done something that annoyed them or frustrated them, and they've shown you some grace. And so you want to make sure you show grace. And so that mindset really has helped me navigate relationships. And so in episode 13, I shared how I know I've disappointed some friends, including the one time I got dumped by a friend. I keep saying the one time I got dumped by a friend. I may have gotten dumped before, but I don't know it. Maybe somebody has dumped me and we're not friends. Why does that tickle me? Maybe I have been dumped by somebody and I don't know it, but I know this one time I got dumped. And so I talked about that. So that was episode 13. Then in episode 14 and 15, y'all, I was so excited because my only biological sister, hey girl, I told you I would have you back. I'm telling them again, I got one biological sister. My sister, Kimberly, came on the podcast for episodes 14 and 15, and we talked about navigating conflict and friendship. And what's so interesting is that my sister Kim and I are so opposite when it comes to how we handle conflict, but we've really learned the strengths. You see, I got tongue tied there. We learned the strengths and the weaknesses of one another's approach. Because the truth is, there are some ways that are beneficial in the way that I have approached conflict, but there's some areas of growth in it for real. And the same with her. And so we really talked about that. I asked y'all to tell me, are you team Kim or you team Robin? And baby, y'all told me. So if you missed episode 14 and 15, make sure you go check that out. Then in episode 16, my sister friend, one of my besties, Shaniqua, came on the podcast and we talked about what it means to have a safe space in friendship and protecting your safe spaces. So, y'all, it has been a really great series. But today you got me and me by myself, and we are going to talk about, y'all, I'm about to share with you the 10 tips to help you upgrade your friendships. I'm about to share with you 10 tips, 10 principles. Let me tell you this about principles. A principle is true whether you understand the principle or not. A principle is true whether you agree with the principle or not. So I'm about to share with you 10 principles or 10 truths or 10 tips, however you want to call it. But these 10 tips are going to help you upgrade your friendships. I am telling you, if you apply these 10 tips, it's going to shift how you show up in friendship. I'm going to tell it to you again, baby, because I'm a preacher and so I repeat myself. If you can apply all 10 of these tips, it is going to help you shift how you show up in friendship. And this is not just something that is my opinion or just something that I've heard. These are strategies and tips that I've watched people navigate in their life. And I have gathered this information over time. And I'm telling you, if you can apply these 10 tips, it can help you shift your relationships. But let me say this, if I'm honest, now this is straight up my opinion. If I'm honest, before I share with you these 10 tips, I really enjoy low maintenance friendships. Baby, I need a low maintenance friendship in this season of my life. Now, listen, whenever you're listening to somebody, you have to know that they're talking about, and especially if they don't say it, most often people are talking from their worldview and their experiences, right? That's why I try to be careful and tell you, well, this is just my opinion, or when this is a clinical truth, or when this is a coaching principle. But the reality is, in this season of my life, I really need low maintenance friendship, or I enjoy low maintenance friendship. I don't have the capacity right now for friendships that demand a lot. Now, there was a time in my life that that wasn't necessarily the case, but in this season, I don't have the capacity for friendships that demands a lot. Y'all know what I mean by that? I prefer the kind of friendship where we just understand one another, we get one another, there's no drama, we don't have to talk every day. And I do have friends that I might talk to every day. And the reason is because of Marco. Listen, I'm about to tell y'all something about myself. And my sister probably was going to say, don't tell people that because they're going to think it's something wrong with you. You see, I'm hesitant. I There are very few people that I talk to on the phone. Like, that we're actually on the phone talking. It's probably my mother and my sister. It's not too many people I talk to on the phone where my phone rings and I'm like, hey girl, and we're just sitting on the phone talking. As a matter of fact, one of my best friends at the moment that I'm recording this, we were talking on Marco because that's how I talk to everybody. And she is in the CIA. Most of my good friends are in the CIA. I mean, not really, but they're so private. And so something she needed to say to me that she did not want to record on Marco because she thinks Marco is Big Brother. And so she said, I'm about to call you, Robin, and I'm only going to be on the phone for 60 seconds. Now we end up being on the phone longer than that, but she knows me. I don't know. Y'all gotta know I'm a therapist, so I'm talking to people all day long. So I like to talk on my terms. So when you mark on me, that I can respond when I can respond. So anyway, where was I going with this? Okay, I was talking about low maintenance friends, and I was saying how there are people that I might talk to every day, but that's just because they downloaded Marco. If you want us to talk every day, download Marco. But for the most part, I don't have to talk to you every day. We don't even have to talk weekly, but just know that we're there for one another and there's no love lost. And we do need to invest in our friendship. I'm about to talk about that in a minute. But I prefer the kind of friendships that are honest and real and transparent, and I can feel comfortable in those relationships. But the truth of that is that that matures over time. You know, the older I've gotten, I've begun to understand this concept of tiered relationships. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. I have started to understand that relationships ebb and flow. I'm getting into my 10 tips, but relationships ebb and flow. And depending on, again, the season of life you're in, sometimes a friendship is at the top of the tier of your life. And then maybe a friendship that was at the top of the tier has kind of, mm, what's the word? What's a good word I could use? Tapered down to another tier. And it doesn't necessarily mean any love lost. It just means the dynamics have changed. One of my big brothers, Darwin Hobbs, says this. He said a long time ago, this had to be 16 years ago. He said, learn to hold all things loosely. And that was such a powerful principle in my life, because sometimes you hold so tight to something and relationships ebb and flow. And quite frankly, the same way relationships ebb and flow for me, somebody I used to feel really close to, maybe I don't feel as close to anymore, is the same with me. Maybe they were feeling close to me at one point and now that they are not. And I have to be okay with that, even if, and I have a friendship in my mind right now, I don't understand why it has changed a bit, and it kind of took me off guard. We're definitely still friends. It's still my girl, but it kind of ebbed a little bit. It changed a little bit, and my feelings were hurt. But then I had to realize, shoot, it's somebody else in my life whose feelings probably hurt because they were trying to figure out what has shifted with me, and I don't fully know what it is, and it's okay. Because relationships ebb and flow, and you want to give your friendships the opportunity to do that. But I do enjoy um, um, friendships that aren't heavy or demanding, but that takes time. It takes time for us to be intentional with one another and grow with one another and be patient with one another. And what I've learned is that we can get so consumed with our own lives that we don't even know how our actions are impacting somebody else. And we want to be careful about that because many of us want solid sister friends. I don't know too many people. You may not want a lot of them. That's okay. But most of us want our solid sister friends. And so, with that in mind, I want to share with you these 10 strategies, these 10 tips that can upgrade your friendship. But before I do, I actually want to read something to you because since I've been talking about friendship, of course, everywhere on my Facebook and everywhere on Instagram, because I'm telling you, the algorithm and Big Brother is listening. Of course, something keeps popping up about friendship, right? And so one of my Facebook friends posted this. I can't even remember who because I screenshot it and didn't include their name on the screenshot accidentally. But they didn't write this. They just reposted it. So I don't know who to give credit to for this, but listen to this. It's a little bit long, but listen. This whole "we aren't friends because she didn't check on me or she didn't support me or she never reaches out first" narrative sucks. Women are out here struggling to just stay above water every second of every day, fighting their own battles. Y'all, this is so true. There are women out here going through divorces and abuse and major depression and financial trouble and family trouble and relationship trouble and health issues and work issues and death and mental illness. And they are supposed to constantly check on you in order to be your friend. I mean, I didn't write this, baby, but I could have. Watch this. It says, my friendship doesn't have, this is the part that I'm like, oh, I get it. My friendship doesn't have requirements. My friendship doesn't have contingencies. My friendship doesn't have obligations. I can't say that black and white like that, but I understand the heart of what she's saying. You don't have to call every day. It doesn't have guidelines or quotas. As long as it's organic, unforced, and non toxic, you will forever have my love and support. Yo, I really love that for the most part. And I think that's the heartbeat of what we're trying to say, or what I have been trying to say in this series, what my sister and what my girl Nika was trying to say. We're trying to encourage us all to give each other a break, to give each other a break. You know, we often hear people say men don't have all of this in their friendship, but men also don't connect as deeply. Ooh, that is such a stereotype. Let me rephrase that. Often men don't tend to connect in the same way that women do. So the bottom line, before I give you these 10 tips to help upgrade your marriage, look at me. 10 tips to help upgrade your friendship. Give one another some grace, boo. Give each other a break. All right, let's dive into it. As you're listening, I want to hear from you. I want you to share with me, what lessons have you learned? Which of these 10 lessons resonate with you the most? Which of these 10 lessons I'm about to share, I want to know what resonates with you the most. Which one are you like, Robin? That's the one right there that I really, really believe. And then tell me that's the one right there that I need to work on. And then tell me what lessons I may have missed. So that's three things I want you to tell me. Which of these 10 really resonate with you, that you know is a strength for you? Which one is an area of growth for you? And what lesson would you add to my 10? All right. So, tip or truth number one: if you want healthy relationships, tip number one is that you need to invest in your friendships. We all know that what you put into something is what you're going to get out of it. So if you're going to have strong friendship, you must be intentional about engaging in the life of your friend. I read an article one time that said friendship is about showing up, and I agree with that for the most part. Let me tell you what I mean. I think friendship is about showing up, but showing up can look different for different people. Listen, I cannot wait to get to the 10th truth, because let me say this. Let me back up a little bit. I'm going to share with you 10 tips to help you upgrade your friendship. And these are not necessarily in any particular order, but baby, number 10 is the game changer. The 10th tip I share with you is the game changer for your life. So I don't want you to miss it. I'm going to share it at the end, baby, and I need you to hear it because that's going to be the game changer. But The Bible even tells us that if you want to have a friend, you got to show yourself friendly. And so many times you're saying you want friendship, but you got to invest in your friendship, and you want to figure out, what does that mean for your friend? What does showing up mean for your friend? What is being a good friend to this particular friend? What is being a good friend to you? And you want to make sure that you're doing that for the people in your life. It could be a simple text. Maybe it's that. Maybe you're scrolling on social media and you see something going on in their life that you didn't know about. And so you pick up the phone and call. Maybe you just drop a card in the mail for them. If they're having an event, show up at the event. If they're selling something, purchase it. Share their post. If they are a speaker, or if they had a great accomplishment at their company, share it on your page. Invest in the friendship. Make sure that you aren't so self-consumed that you aren't investing in the friendship. That's tip number one, to upgrade your friendships. Invest in your friendship. Number two, give your friendships the space to evolve. Here is the second tip to help you upgrade your friendship. Give your friendships the space to evolve. Listen to me. People change. People change. So if people change, of course your friendship is going to change. I talked about that a little bit earlier, about the ebbs and flows, and who might have been at tier one may not be at tier one right now, and it's okay. Don't hold things so closely. You have to give your relationship space to evolve. When you hold your friendships captive to what they've always been, that can become suffocating. So listen, some of the two of you may used to go to the club all the time. Maybe y'all used to turn it up at the club all the time, and that's how y'all connected. But in this season of her life, maybe she just doesn't go clubbing. But you are insisting that y'all continue to show up that same way. Give the friendship the space to evolve. It's okay. It has changed. And if that friendship really matters to you, then give it space to evolve. Maybe both of you were single and you really connected on being single. Y'all were able to travel together. Y'all were able to go to brunch at the last minute together. But now one of you has gotten married. That is going to change how you all are able to connect. But if you are resentful because of the change, you're going to possibly suffocate the friendship. So instead of making it awkward, why not go with the flow and allow the relationship to evolve? That's tip number two. Here is tip number three to help you elevate, to upgrade your friendships. Your friendships, or your friends, have issues, and so do you. There's a song. Let me tell you, when I was working on this, I heard a song in my head. You are back. What is it? See, my friends tell me to stop popping off with a song if I can't remember the song. You a bad chick and your friends bad too. Am I making that up? You a bad chick and your friends bad too. Anyway, you have issues and your friends do too. Listen, what am I trying to say with this tip in all seriousness? All of us show up at the table with our stuff. Listen, girl, we all crazy. We all have crazy. Listen, I'm a therapist, so when I use the word crazy, baby, let's be clear. I'm not talking about mental illness. We all have crazy. And when you can admit to your own crazy, it makes it easier for you to be more empathetic at someone else's. Remember, I talked about this earlier when I was saying part of how I'm able to navigate when I have been hurt or disappointed by a friend is that I realize, wait a minute, I have disappointed a friend too. And it's easy to want to cut someone off. But remember, you have ways about you that aren't always pleasant and can be irritating. I know that that is shocking, but I promise you, you do. And I am sure, like me, you want those in your friendship circle to pour out a little grace and patience when you are working through your stuff, or when you are working their nerves. You want them to show you a little grace. And so you got to show grace as well. One of the things I've learned in friendship is that it's important that we remind ourselves of how dope our friends are and what we really love about them. Because the truth is, especially if you're very close to somebody, their quirks or their ways can get to be annoying, even if, especially if there isn't enough padding. Let me tell you what I mean about padding in friendship. This is in friendship. This is in your marriage, honey. This is with your siblings. This is with your parents. You need padding, or the way I really describe it is that you want to deposit enough so that when you make a withdrawal, you aren't going into overdraft. And so you want to keep reminding yourself of what makes them really special, because they have quirks, they have ways about them that can be a little bit irritating sometimes. And you want to remember what makes them so dope. Now, I got to admit this to you, y'all, that this particular tip is a little bit personal for me. It's very, very hard for me to be close to someone who isn't self aware. I'm just being real with you. I have a very hard time having somebody in my intimate circle who doesn't know their stuff and isn't self aware and who can't own up to their stuff. And so it makes it difficult for me because I want us to be transparent and open. And the truth is, my closest friends were able to say, my friends will tell me, Robin, you doing the Robin. Or they will call me. They will call me and need to talk to me about something. And they will say, what kind of space are you? This is a shame. You know what? I think I'm about to redo my whole friendship circle. Hold on. I'm going to redo my whole friendship circle because a friend will call me and be like, well, they don't call me now. Because if they call me, it's an emergency. I just told y'all that earlier. They don't call, they will mark on me. But they will text me or mark on me and say, what kind of space are you in? Because depending on what kind of space I'm in, I might drive them up a wall. And so I know that about myself. And so they can say that, or I can say to them, I'm not doing this with, I can't do the such and such with you today, whatever that thing is, because we all have our ways. And so I have learned, for me, now this is just for me, if I'm going to have people in my intimate circle, we got to be able to be real with one another. And if I have a friend who doesn't have self-awareness and can't see themselves, then it's very difficult for me to be close. And so just remember, if you want to upgrade your friendship, if you want to elevate your friendships, you want to remember that your friends have issues, girl, but so do you. You know, part of that also is that all of us just got to do our work. We have to consistently do our work, because what I will hear somebody say to me is, if somebody points out an issue for them, well, like let's say a spouse points out an issue, they'll say, well, my friends have never said that. Or a friend points out an issue, they'll say, well, my partner has never said that. Well, you show up differently in different relationships. And so you want to consistently do your work and have people in your circle that when they point something out to you, you understand that they don't have anything against you. So why would they say anything that's not true? That's why you got to cultivate safe friendships. You got to cultivate safe friendships and safe relationships. Okay, let me keep going. Let me get off of that one. Let's recap so far. What have been our strategies and our tips to upgrade your friendship? Number one is you want to invest in your friendship. Number two, your friendships need space to evolve. Number three, your friends have issues and so do you. You know what? I think I'm going to put this on our resource tab where you can see all of the tips just written out. So go to robinmayonline.com/podcast, scroll down, and you'll see resources. Okay, so number four. This is the fourth tip, the fourth strategy to help you upgrade, to elevate your friendships. Your friends need you to focus on who they are and not who you want them to be. Your friends need you to focus on who they are and not who you want them to be. Again, this goes back to holding all things loosely and giving your friendships the space to evolve and accepting that maybe, because here's the truth, maybe who they are isn't what you need in this season of your life. But sis, if you're going to say that, remember that sword goes two ways. Is that the saying? That sword points both ways. What's the thing that points both ways? We'll say that goes anyway. Just know that truth can go both ways. If you're saying this friendship isn't what I need in this season, somebody else is going to say that to you. But Tip number 4 is understand that your friend needs you to focus on who she is and not who you want her to be. Another way I could say that is focus on the strengths your friend brings to the table, because all of us have different strengths that make us special. Maybe your friend, when y'all go out to lunch, she's always going to be late. Speaking of going out to lunch, I'm supposed to be meeting a friend for lunch in a few minutes, so maybe I'm talking about myself. Maybe your friend is the friend who is always late to lunch, and that's annoying to you because you are a stickler for time, and that is frustrating. But that same friend is the friend, if you call her at midnight, she's going to be on her way. Now she may not get there to 2 a.m., but she coming no matter what time of the night to have your back. So focus on the strength. Or maybe you have a friend who rarely wants to hang out, but you know that that particular friend is going to go to battle for you in prayer. Focus on the strengths of your friends. Instead of focusing on what they may be lacking, celebrate the great things in your friendships. The bottom line is every friend isn't meant to meet every need. That's why I love our friendship journals, because it highlights the different types of friend. You may have a pray you through friend, or you may have a friend that's going to laugh with you. You have that friend that's going to keep it real for you with you. You're going to have that friend who can grab her passport and go. She can travel with you. You have another friend who's going to help you get your money right. You want to make sure that you don't put pressure on one friend to be all the things for you. You want to make sure that you are giving your friends the opportunity to be who they are, and you celebrate those strengths. So identify her strengths and appreciate them. So your friend needs you to focus on who she is and not who you want her to be. Here's the 5th truth. Don't assume, girl. Don't assume. Ask. If you want to upgrade your relationships and your friendships, don't assume. Ask. So many issues could be mitigated if we would just communicate with one another effectively, whether it's with your friends, your family, your relationships. An inability to be able to talk things out can hinder a friendship. And so if something bothers you, watch this. If something bothers you, once you have done your work, once you have done your work, once you have done your work, baby, once you have done your own work, be courageous enough to have the conversation if the conversation is still needed after you've done your work. I was preparing for this podcast, baby, and I had to take a pause, and I had to go over to Instagram, and I had to make a post about this. So head over to my Instagram and find the post where you see me talking with the podcast visual in the background, because I say do the work, because sometimes, y'all, sometimes you're so ready to confront or address something or say something when it really isn't their issue. It really is your issue. Every little thing that bothers you isn't about them. Sometimes it's you. But once you've done your work and you've recognized, okay, no, this really is something that I need to address or we need to talk about, be courageous to have the conversation. Remember, y'all, I've said this over and over again, that you want to have a safe space in your friendship, and a safe space is where we can have real conversation without fear of retribution, without fear of the relationship falling apart. So you want to be able to not assume, ask. Here is the 6th strategy, the 6th truth, or the 6th tip for you to elevate, upgrade your friendships. I want you to intrude. 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 And I cannot believe I'm saying this, y'all, because I do not like to be intruded upon, y'all. I don't like being imposed upon. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. But sometimes you have to intrude. Let me explain, y'all. People are struggling, and some of your closest friends are dealing with some pretty serious life situations. I shared that Facebook post earlier. People are dealing with divorce and abuse and mental illness and trying to figure out about their children, and they're just navigating so much. And the truth is, your friend may need you, but they may not know how to tell you they need you, or they may not want to feel like they're dumping their issues on to you. But if you notice that your friend has become distant, or you notice that she's become more agitated, or that she's not acting like herself, don't take offense immediately. Don't be afraid to ask them the tough questions, again, depending on the level of the friendship. Don't be afraid to say, listen, babe, something's been going on. You haven't seemed like yourself. What is happening? How can I support you? Intrude. Ask them, find out what is going on. They may desperately need you, and they just need you to ask. Now, listen, I don't buy, y'all are going to be surprised at this. This is going to be a bit controversial, and I'm just going to say it though. I don't always buy into the check on your strong friends mantra. I understand it. Before y'all log off, I understand it. And I even can understand why we say it or why people say it. But I think it's important that the strong friend also learns how to be vulnerable. Like, everybody has things going on. Everybody, because I can consider myself often probably a strong friend, like, sort of, because here's the deal. If you ask me, trust me, if you call me and you say, Robin, are you good? And I'm not, sure am not. I'm going to tell you again, depending on the closeness of our relationship. But I believe the strong friend also needs to be vulnerable. You need to have some space where you are able to be open, because people shouldn't be expected to break down a brick wall. Like, if you aren't allowing them in, they have to respect your boundaries. And so, while I do believe that we all need to check on each other, I think the strong friend needs to also practice vulnerability. I remember when I was pregnant with one of my many children, a girlfriend, we didn't have Marco then, so a girlfriend did happen to call me, and she didn't like how I sounded. And she said, something's not right. And I just burst out crying because I was really, really sick. And it must have been with Reagan, because I had it might have been Riley. I don't know. But I remember it was one of the babies was at home. I was pregnant. My husband had gone out of town, and I was really, really sick. And she could hear it in my voice. And she lived all the way out of town, but she called some friends in our friendship circle. And next thing I know, the bell is ringing, and they're bringing me lunch and Pillsbury chocolate chip cookies, which is my thing. And so, intrude, ask the tough questions. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. The seventh tip to help upgrade, to elevate your friendships is, remember this: friendships can be a mirror for you. Relationships can often serve as a mirror to what's going on within you. Your friendships can help you see you. I often teach my clients that interactions with friends and coworkers and even their spouse can help them see the issues that they may have, or their own strengths, or their own areas of growth. And here's the deal: sometimes you may find yourself acting out of character with a certain friend. Maybe you're more argumentative than usual, or maybe you're more pessimistic as usual. Even that can show you something about you. Now, it also may mean that that friendship may not be the best friendship, but nobody can make you do anything. So that may highlight something with you about you. Listen, I'm going to be real, y'all. My friendships early on in life showed me how I could have a tendency to be selfish. I tell y'all all my business, golly. But my friendships have shown me a selfish streak in me, especially when I was much younger and in college and right out of college. I'm not even going to the story of how it has shown me that, but just know it has shown me that. And I now know I have to be very intentional, because I can get very consumed in my world. But I discovered that through friendship. And sometimes your friends' casual comments about you are really some truths about you. Now, I want you to be careful about LOL friends. These are those LOL friends, are those friends who make or what am I trying to say? Snide comments to you, or make slights about you. That's it. Say that 3 times. LOL friends are those friends who make snide comments or sly comments about you, and they hurt, but then they'll put the LOL behind. I'm just joking. Stay away from LOL friends. But you know those friends who might say, now girl, you know that was rude when you said that. Learn from your friends, listen to your friends, because friendships can be a mirror for you. Here's number 8: let it be what it was meant to be. When it comes to your friendships, let it be what it was meant to be. Remember earlier I talked about letting friendships evolve, giving them the space to evolve and change. Remember I talked about holding all things loosely. Well, with this, one of my dearest friends, hey, Toy, she came up with this term called placement issues, and I've officially stolen it from her, but I give her credit for it. But placement issues is sometimes you are thinking that you have a different place in someone's life than you do. I told y'all before, I had to learn that lesson myself. And sometimes people think they have a different place in your life than they do. You have to allow friendships to be what they are going to be. Some friendships are only going to be casual, let's hang out every once in a while kind of friends. Other friendships are going to be a little bit deeper than that. Don't try to force something that will only leave both of you frustrated. Give the friendship the opportunity to be what it's going to be. Don't come with years and years and years of expectations that you place on this friendship when this friendship was never meant to be that. Remember, you have casual friends, you have well, really, you have acquaintances, then you have casual friends, then you have close friends, and then you have intimate friends. And you got to figure out which category is that friend supposed to be in. Let it be what it's going to be. Here's number 9. Relationships should be give and take. Take a deep breath, sis. I really do. I need you to take a deep breath. Come on, breathe in and breathe out because this one's going to be a little tough. You ready for this one? I don't want you to be the needy friend. Don't be the needy friend. Listen, neediness can show up in so many different ways. It can be that you are always the one needing advice, but you're never available to listen to what's going on in the other person's world. And you may say, well, they never tell me. Have you ever asked? Or have you been so busy sharing what's going on with you? Or neediness can show up where you're the one always needing a quick favor, but you're never available to give that same kind of help in a pinch back. Or sometimes you're always needing to be encouraged, but you never encourage. Remember, relationships really should be give and take, they should be mutually beneficial. Now, here is the thing, maybe you are the friend that is always listening, and this is the friend who's always able to help you out. And maybe that's how your relationship is give and take. But just make sure that it is give and take. Now, listen, I'm not talking about your therapist and you. Listen, I'm talking about peer-to-peer friendship because sometimes my clients will say, Robin, I just don't want to burden you with this. Girl, no, that's what I'm here for. I'm here. A therapist is not your friend. Your therapist is there literally to help you navigate your world. Or this is not necessarily a mentor relationship because your mentor may not share with you what's going on with them personally. This is about peer-to-peer friendships. Another way friendships can be needy is that you can create an environment where they are constantly having to prove themselves to you, or they're constantly having to prove to you that they are a good friend, and that can be exhausting as well. And so you want to make sure that you are creating, or that you have give and assess your friends. On the resources tab, we have, and I'll put it on this episode as well. So go to robinmayonline.com/podcast, scroll down to resources, and right here on episode 17, I will include it again. I share with you a friendship assessment. Do a full assessment of your friendships, and you'll be able to tell, wait a minute, am I being a needy friend? All right, y'all, we are done. We are ready for number 10. This is the one that I told you is a game changer. This is the one that I tell my daughters all the time. This is the one that I keep top of mind. Let me give it to you. Friendship is not a one size fits all experience. Girl, you know I'm going to give it to you again. Tip number 10 to help you upgrade, to elevate your friendships is to understand that friendship is not a one size fits all experience. If you want to have healthy friendship, this strategy is a game changer. You want to learn to customize your friendship based on the person you are connected to. Now, don't confuse this with being a chameleon or just changing with the wind. That's not what this is about. This is about you definitely being who you are. And I pray you're not one of those people who refuses to change and is resistant to evolution. But the core of who you are is who you are, and you are dope. However, you cannot expect that person A responds to you and to life the same way that person B does. You cannot assume because person A is okay with something that person B has to be okay with something. We are not monolithic in that way. We are unique. And so when you learn this principle, it can help you create customized and special connections with the people in your life. Listen, parents get this. Parents understand that you don't treat this child the same way you treat this child. When you have multiple children, you understand. Now, I can say it to this child like this, but I have to be a little bit more gentle with this child. Or you may understand, listen, I can approach and discipline this child like this, but I'm going to use this discipline approach with this child. It's the same thing even in romantic relationships. I don't care if you did that with Sally. I ain't Sally. Don't do that with me. We understand that in romantic relationships. It is the same way in friendships. You want to customize the friendship. Friendship is not a one size fits all experience. There are some assumptions that we sometimes make in friendship, and I'm going to share with you these 3 assumptions under this tip. There are assumptions that we make, but these are the top 3. 1, we assume that what offends me offends somebody else. So when they do that thing, we think that they're intentionally trying to offend us. Let me give it to you again. We assume that what offends me offends them. And so we're questioning, why would they do that? But for them, it really may not be offensive. They may not have an issue with that. And so you don't want to assume that. Another assumption that we talked about this with my sister, that my response to conflict is universal or that it is the right way. And so I am frustrated because you aren't responding to conflict in that same way. I had someone tell me one time, a client I was working with, and she was talking about, she's like, I'm very straightforward and my friend is so sensitive. And so I don't know what's wrong with her. Well, it's not right or wrong. It's just different. And so you want to not assume that everybody handles conflict the same way. And the third assumption, that the way I need a friend to show up is the way my friend needs me to show up. And it may be different. What you need may not be what somebody else is needing. So that's why you want to have the conversations. And so tip number 10 is to understand that friendship is not a one size fits all experience. You want to customize friendship with the person that you are in relationship with. All right, y'all, that is it. I hope that this friendship therapy series has helped you. I hope that you have learned something, that you have some takeaways, that you can go deeper in your friendship. I would love for you to share this episode and the entire podcast with your people. Just put this on your Facebook page. Tell them, go check out Robin May's podcast at Intentional Conversations with Robin May and Friends. Tell them to go to robinmayonline.com/podcast and they can see all of the episodes there. There are 2 ways that you can engage in the podcast. You can watch it on YouTube or you can watch it on your favorite podcast app. But I hope that you would do me a favor and share it with as many people as possible. I hope these 10 strategies to help you elevate, upgrade your friendships have helped you. Remember, let me know which of the tips is your strength, which of the tips is your area of growth, and what tip did I leave out that I definitely need to add. Let me know. You can share it on YouTube. You can DM me on Instagram, Robin May Online, or you can leave me a review on one of the podcast apps. Thank you for being with me. Until next episode, I'll see you soon. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Intentional Conversations with Robin May and Friends. Listen, these conversations are to help you live intentionally, fully engaged, to help you elevate not just what you do, but who you are. And listen, I am committed to being in the trenches with you. If you haven't already, make sure you head on over to youcanlivelife.com/academy. Yes, girl, the Academy doors are open. This is where you get to dive into further conversations on our podcast topics. We get to dive into the trenches of the life course, the course that I have created to help you create the life that you long for. And we get to have monthly office hours where you can ask me any questions you have about all of this. Girl, Life Academy is where we can do life together. So head on over to youcanlivelife.com /academy.